Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're doing the weekly metagame breakdown for the Timeless Best of 3 format. Timeless got a bunch of new cards from Avatar, the bonus set, most notably Entomb, Mystical Tutor, as well as Force of Negation all added, as well as some cube cards that recently came a couple weeks ago as part of the Arena Cube. So we're going to take a look and see what the format's looking like right now. We're going to be looking at Untapped GG to see tracked user win rates and that get aggregated. If you want to use Untapped to track your own win rates, link is in the video for Untapped. Otherwise, I'll copy and paste all these deck lists. You can find them in the video description so you can import them to your heart's content. Overall, Timeless Best of 3 has a dedicated following, but not the largest population of data. So keep in mind some of the game counts will be a little low, but it's really just looking at what decks are viable in terms of being played out. So let's jump into it. For the week, November 18th through the 25th, 4,500 games played, a best of 3 since the release of Avatar. Mono Black is the highest win rate, 86%. This is Mono Black Midrange, so not using the dedicated kind of Entomb Reanimate, just playing a midrange deck, leveraging the Dark Ritual package. This one's playing more creature density. Dothi Voidwalker, Orcish Bowmasters, Barrow-Goyf, One Ring as opposed to Necropotence. You have the One Ring Shelly combination. Troll can be used as a way to find lands, but then also a target for Reanimate. Barrow-Goyf is a strong play that kind of fuels your graveyard, gets you some action. Chrome Mox for more additional ramp. And then Palantir is in the grindier matchups. Comes out against like the faster decks, but just provides either cards or could be a threat in terms of your opponent taking damage. You have like the Grief Reanimate draws where you can pitch Grief on one and then take a card from their hand and then reanimate at the same turn, so double Thoughtseize early on. This deck's leveraging both Strip Mine as a 3 of, as well as Ancient Tomb to ramp ahead as another kind of Soul Ring-esque land. You have Urborg to fix your mana base as well. And this is playing 1 Surveil land in the mana base. You have Toxic Deluge for the Go Wide decks, Opposition Agent for decks where opponents are searching stuff, Disruptor Flute in here, name activated abilities or tax stuff, Dothi, anything using graveyards or death triggers, Thoughtseize for hand hate, Surgical Extraction to take out combo pieces or graveyard hate, and Fatal Push for more removal against like the energy piles. Speaking of energy piles, we have Mardu Energy, 71%. So pretty stock, nothing too different. Juggernaut Peddler is a 4 of, 2 of Goblin Bombardments. You can see 2 to 3 of these. Opting for 2 Galvanic Discharge, full 4 Swords, 2 Static Prisons. These numbers could kind of sway from here and there. This version's actually playing Deathrite Shaman as well in terms of the 1-drop slot. So notably no way to activate the green component of the mana. But instead just using it for extra damage, as well as a way to kind of ramp you up. You can exile lands, so it lets you still play in 22 lands, but eats away your opponent's graveyard, which has some utility, especially against the reanimation decks, gives you a little bit more outs to it. Sometimes they'll play 1 to 2 Strip Mines, and best of 1 when I was playing this month, I was running 2 Strip Mines in the main. But kind of get Bombardment, a Johnny, ping your opponent to death, and then this deck's very fast when it gets going. Deafening Silence as a way against like Show and Tell potentially, anything that's playing more than 1 non-creature spell per turn. More Galvanic Discharges for the mirror creature decks. You have Thoughtseize for hand hate, as well as Flute against like combo decks, slower decks. Cthulhu Nightmare in the grindier matchups could bring stuff back. Bowmaster for any of the heavy draw decks. Mono green, so this is our first instance of the new Dark Depths combo. So overall, there's kind of 2 ways to do this. You have Dark Depths, which comes in with 10 ice counters on it. You could pay 3 mana to remove ice counters. When all the counters are gone, you sack it, and you get a 20/20 indestructible flying avatar token. Notably, very seldomly is this actually going to be used in terms of the minus, like take off a counter here and here, and like over and over again. With Thespian Stage, you can have Thespian Stage become a copy of Dark Depths. Because this enters with it, Stage is already entered into play, so that allows you to just have it become a copy. It doesn't have any counters, so it instantly becomes the token. There's also Vampire Hexmage that can remove the tokens. It is double black, but this version here is opting instead to just play mono green with the combo. There weren't really many versions in terms of the Golgari that we're seeing, like the heavy Hex Mage combo version of it. You're playing Crop Rotation to help you find the lands, as well as Elvish Reclaimer, so you can play Yavimaya to help fix your mana. You have Ancient Tomb to ramp you, have Strip Mine in here, Woodlands to reanimate or recur as one of your permanents, and then because you're in green, you have the Wary Zone to get back Strip Mine over and over, along with Ice Till Explore. Exploration lets you play extra lands, Deathrite Shaman helps you ramp, fix your mana base, and then Malavin Rumble could help you dig into the combo as well as Once Upon a Time. One Ring for the grindier matchups, just kind of play fair mid-range, Force of Vigor, Artifact Enchantment Hate, good against Show and Tell, for example. Endurance as Graveyard Hate, and then Dismember as removal, as well as Veil Summer for protection against counter spells or just black-based removal or discard. We have Esper Tempo, so 72%. We're seeing our first Force of Negation in here. So this is it's basically base blue. We have Brainstorms, Hydroponics, Architects, just a good one-drop creature that turns your fetches into basically islands, so you can fetch a fetch potentially or fetch a Strip Mine potentially and draw some cards. This is playing white for both Prismatic Ending and Swords to Plowshare. You have the Tamiyo package with Brainstorm. Bowmaster's in here as your black card, so playing more at flash speed for the most part, other than some of your one-drops. You also have a new card in Wan Shi Tong Librarian, 2-mana 1/1 that you can pay X. It enters with X counters on it. It has Flash, Flying, Vigilance, and then you draw cards equal to half of X. Whenever opponent searches their library, you put a counter on Wan Shi Tong, and you draw cards. This is very strong in a fetchline format because your opponent is naturally fetching. Flare of Denial can sack your small stuff. Force of Negation as a cheap counter or a free counter. Now, notably, this only works on your opponent's turn, and it only hits non-creatures, so it's not Force of Will in that case. Treasure Cruise as a way to refill your hand. Commandeer to take over spells, take some of their big plays, stuff like that, can redirect their counters. Toxic Deluge as a sweeper. Mystical Dispute and Stern Scoldings, cheap counters, kind of disruptive elements. Get Lost, Prismatic Ending, more removal. Get Lost can also hit enchantments as needed, and then Minor Misstep against like the low to the ground decks can hit their one-drop plays. We then have Jeskai Blink. So it's basically the core of the energy deck. We see a Johnny, Amped Raptor, Mockingbird, Guide of Souls, Ossel's Pride, all that jazz. But blue gives you access to Mockingbird to have it come as copies of these other powerful effects. You also have a couple copies of Felia in here that can blink your various creatures. You have Staff of the Storyteller, that's a target for Felia to blink. Comes into play, you get a 1/1, and then whenever one or more tokens enter, you put a story counter on it, and you can pay a mana to remove a counter and draw a card. So just kind of a draw engine that can be blinked. Fables, Flage on the top end as well. Giganta Companion. Meddling Mage can be used to name key cards to prevent, like, say, Show and Tell. Disputus, cheap counters, along with Consign for the colorless decks. Exercise, just big thing removal, artifact or enchantment removal. Flute, as well as Vexing Bauble, can be named against like Show and Tell, stops free spells, evoke elementals. Prismatic Ending, this removal, Meltdown for artifact decks. Ghost Vacuum for Reanimator style decks. Alrighty, Show and Tell, this is pretty stock, 70%. Most of the lists now are running a combination of Atraxas, One Emrakul, Omniscience, and then the Hallbreaker Horror, also Saiba Siphoneer in here, can find you or rebuy you pieces. But if you're able to Show and Tell Omni, cast Emrakul, you get to take an extra turn. And then the rest of the deck's just basically setting up the combo. You have Brainstorms, Ponders to help you dig. Veil of Summer can protect the combo against counters. You also have typically, since not playing the uncounterable land, you usually see that as another way to kind of protect your combo. Waterlogg's Teaching could get Sublime Epiphany, could get Hallbreaker Horror, could get Dig Through Time, just a lot of ways to kind of help you continue to dig once you get the combo off. Commandeer could take over your opponent's big spells, to kind of get value out of that. Calling Ritual for the Go Wide decks, Corrosive Grip for the Mirror, Abrupt Decay for low to the ground decks, or to deal with hate pieces. Veil of Summer against discard or counterspell heavy decks, and against blue mirrors. Carpet of Flowers basically just helps you kind of take their islands in a way, kind of ramp you ahead. So lets you cast your stuff naturally. We have Reanimator here, so 69%. This is basically blue-black Reanimator, getting the other colors from Elenda and Atraxa, which are your main pieces to reanimate. So you have Entomb that can search your library at instant speed and put a card at your graveyard. So you're able to Entomb for Atraxa or St. Elenda and then reanimate it. A Psychic Frog can also discard these from hand for value. And then you have a lot of the similar package: Ponder, Brainstorm, Hydroponics, Cameo in here. One Sink into Stupor as a land, which can also be pitched to force a negation. And then Grief as a way to eat away your opponent's hand with Treasure Cruise to refill. Deluge for the go wide decks, force a negation to help you in these kind of combo-esque mirrors. Dismember is removal, and then you could kind of post board, you can shift away from the reanimation package. If your opponent's bringing in a lot of graveyard hate, bring in Barrow Goyce and Bowmasters instead. We have Golgari, so this is just kind of the mid-range version. So similar to Mono Black, but basically playing Deathrite Shaman in here, as well as Wary Zone Guard. It just gives you more ability to recur your strip mines and then help you grind out in the longer games. Having access to green gives you Culling Ritual, which is very good against energy decks, since you can hit Bombardment and stuff like that. Also gives you just a bunch of mana to play a spell afterwards. Opposition Agent, like we mentioned. Witherbloom Command in here can deal with like small things, can be removal, life gain as well. Meathook as another sweeper for the go wide decks, help you gain some life against energy. Bowmaster for the blue base decks, helps you draw, when they draw a card. If they want to draw the cards, you ping them and make them pay that way there. Just kind of complementing the two in the main board. Flutes, as we mentioned, Thoughtseize is more hand hate, Surgical for graveyard and combo hate. We have Izzet Affinity-esque deck. So this one's at 65%. Mox Opal, Mishra's Bauble, Chrome Mox, all cheap cards in here, as well as Tormod's Crypt, letting you have a density of artifacts in the deck. Drix Interlacer comes in with starting intensity 0, and then whenever another artifact you control enters, it gets 1 more to its intensity, lets you sack it and draw cards equal to half its intensity, so it lets you refill your hand along with Thoughtcast and Thought Monitor, which ideally in this deck will cost as little as 1 mana. It looks like there's only 8 lines in the deck, which are the artifact lines, but you're playing Sink into Stupor, Sundering Eruption, as well as Shattering Smashing. These all allow you to have more things to pitch to Chrome Mox to help you ramp ahead. Landlord Navigator, whenever it attacks, you create a map token, and then on your end step, if 2 or more artifacts entered, you conjure a Thieving Magpie into play, and this allows you to potentially draw some more cards. Versions on Weapons Manufacturing, whenever an artifact comes to play, you create a munitions token. The way you sack it is to Broadside Bombardiers, so it basically will deal 2 damage from the munitions, plus 2 from the Broadside Bombardiers, so 4 damage basically out of each of those tokens. Pinnacle Emissary on 1 can generate you a whole bunch of tokens, which potentially could let you cast Kappa Cannoneer on 1, so kind of playing in that sense. Pyrokinesis, basically exile a red card and it deals 4 damage to any number of target creatures. So kind of like a Fury-esque card in this deck. So you can play it that way there. You could also just play Fury. This is at instant speed, as it said. Subtlety kind of hits those key creatures. Force and Negation for kind of combo decks. Whirling Vortex for show and tell. So the last deck doesn't have enough games played, but it's an interesting shell. We just saw Nadu get banned in Legacy, so this is kind of playing akin to that. So with Nadu, we don't have Shuko, but we have Lightning Greaves. This allows you another free equipped, so you can just keep equipping your creatures over and over again 2 times each, and just generate a whole bunch of value out of the deck. You have Delighting Halfling to kind of ramp you. You're not playing like the full breakfast combo. We don't have those cards from Legacy, but just kind of value plays. Get ahead on lands. Stoneforge Mystic could get you Jite or Cauldron Complete, as well as the Lightning Greaves. Bunch of draw to set it up. Plowshares in here. You have 1 Badger Mole Cub. Another way to Earthbend gives you another target for the Shuko. And then Teferi protects your combo. Oko in here, kind of just value engine. Wary Zone Guard can let you recur. This one is not playing Strip Mines, but you're playing a bunch of fetches. Yield of the Dead in here as well for some value on the top end. We have Force of Vigor, like we mentioned, for artifact enchantment decks, show and tell. Oko for the grindier matchups, Disputus cheap counters, Cryptic Code in here for the grindier matchups. We have Spring Heart and Tuco that can make you a bunch of counters and creatures whenever lands come into play that you can then equip. So kind of a land comes into play, makes you a new creature that you can then equip. So you just kind of play through your whole deck that way there. Wonder if you could with Spring Heart if it's consistent enough to draw through your whole deck for Thassa's Oracle. Veil of Summer for protection, Surgical for Graveyard Combo Hate, Prismatic is cheap removal, and Pick Your Poison, Artifact Enchantment Hate, and Flyer Hate, so it could deal with like a Traxa, for example. That's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been liking, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.